Andy, welcome to the Exchange Wire Kitchen. Welcome to A Coffee With. Lovely to have you.
Thank you for having me. It's an incredibly tidy kitchen.
Well,
making me feel guilty.
Thank you very much. We keep it nice for these such occasions. First off, what are you drinking?
I am ruining your podcast format, and I am drinking a Yorkshire Tea, I'm afraid. But I'm not a big coffee drinker. I apologise.
It's a first, but I'll let it pass. And, I'm delighted that we have Yorkshire Tea in the office to be able to give you. I am on my normal afternoon espresso because we've done a few different recordings today, and I'm going to get a bit of energy to talk about
much needed caffeine.
Yeah, and a pretty wide discussion we're going to have. We've got you today to talk about generative AI and its impact on creativity. First off, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, so I work at a performance marketing agency called Kinesso, for those who don't know, and I have a really cool job. I look after a division within that agency that encompasses our web development team, our UX analysis team, and also our creative studio, because I have this slightly quirky background where I've worked as each one of those things in some way, shape or form. So I'm just about competent enough to lead those three different distinct disciplines. I work with clients on web builds, kind of UX research projects, and a bulk of our time is spent with creative from a media lens for the most part. So quite diverse division that I look after, but AI is playing a huge part in how we do all three of those different things now. So it is an exciting time.
It is indeed. We are certainly an industry in flux and a certain amount of uncertainty, but also very exciting. Kick off, I'm going to talk a little bit about the rise of generative AI and its impact in your working life and the working life of the media industry. We hear a lot of negativity around AI slop, filling social feeds, images of people turning themselves into action figures and spreading them all across social media. There are those negative aspects that are made a lot of, but also it's doing good things in the creative industries. How do you feel about the general perception of generative AI?
I actually saw a Stop the Slop T-shirt the other day, which felt like a milestone moment. It's a funny one, and what I've noticed increasingly is that people are polarising themselves into two camps. You've got people who are just anti-AI, it's the devil, it's ruining everything, it's coming for people's jobs, it's really unethical, and all the horrible things are just totally out. And then on another camp are people who are just completely pro-AI and don't question anything and are all in. And I'd like to think of myself as a bit of an AI realist. I sit firmly in the centre where we review everything on its own merits. We don't try and look at a new piece of technology and skew it based on how we feel ethically about things. We review it from a very realistic sense of what it can and can't do. So we're AI realists, but it is doing a lot of good as well. Even outside of the marketing or the tech space, just the way it's seeing how my kids are using it, I think is where I've seen most of the positive feelings around it. One of the kids had a history project to learn about a local figure in history, and he wasn't that interested in the homework, unsurprisingly. So I thought, I'll see what I can do. And I went away and I opened up a ChatGPT research chat, gave it this historical figure's name, and it went away and did a in-depth research, found all information about him, and then I flipped ChatGPT into voice mode. And he sat and he had a conversation with this historical figure from his history homework. And it was like a real light bulb moment of just how much positivity that you can bring with this as a tool if you just use it in the right way. And it was really fun, it was really positive. And we've similar kind of use cases at work, but that one at home just made me realise just how much good it can do. And there's some really proven good it can do from like a scientific perspective, the work it's doing in kind of biology and research into cure for diseases, that kind of really shining light, amazing stuff. And some quite good stuff happening in marketing as well, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I love that as a touchstone, and that was the first that you went to, rather than there's great stuff going on in the media.
It was a really nice,
something that brought
warm,
it back
fuzzy
to you.
moment. Yeah,
I really like that. It's nice because we hear about the dangers of this for young people, and it's lovely to hear a use case where you've brought your kids' homework to life using it.
Those dangers are real. That's the thing about being an AI realist, about sitting in the middle of all in or all out. You have to be mindful of particularly exposing it to kids, the issues with hallucinations that you get with AI, where it can provide misinformation. And I think as long as you are aware of that and you put the effort into making yourself, a little bit educated in what it can and can't do, then it really does open up some crazily exciting opportunities.
It does, and yeah, I find myself firmly in the same camp as you. I see the negatives, and we cover a lot of the negative impact it has, as well as the positive. We hear an awful lot about how it's changing the industry, whether it's efficiency, back end stuff, or creativity. But you're right; it's an educational process. It's about learning how to use them as tools and where they can bring more kind of impact
it's
to your
just
daily
moving
role.
so fast that education problem is real at the moment. Just the pace of change. Like, if we were recording this podcast a month ago, I wouldn't be talking about the same things that I'll talk about today, because it's all happening last month. And if we record it next month, there'll be something completely new that wasn't out. It's almost like AI years are like dog years at the minute. Every week is a month in traditional text-based time. It's all just moving so fast,
isn't it? It's exactly. We could have had a much different conversation 2 weeks ago, and then, I love the funny negative stories about generative AI. I love the fact that ChatGPT 5 was released and couldn't spell blueberry and all this
didn't
stuff.
have a good launch, did it?
It was a bad launch. But it's, that's the easy stuff to pick up on, and it's hilarious. I love talking about it. It's daft, but it does have, there's real impact it can make here, and particularly in our industry. And you're doing a lot of work on that at Kinesso. So tell us a little bit about how you've been able to use it as a tool, how you're harnessing it, and what good you think it can do for business.
Yeah, we have an amazing case study at the moment that we've just been able to publish. It was our work with Adobe and Amazon. So it's using one of Adobe's AI tools, Firefly, and with them we were able to do some really impressive work with Amazon. It's Amazon Fresh, so it's the Amazon grocery arm. And this is going back to kind of tail end of last year. So we did a series of photo shoots with Amazon throughout the year, where we'd photograph different elements of produce that we could use in marketing campaigns throughout the year. Things like fruit deliveries, that kind of stuff, and it gave us lots of assets to use to produce media throughout the year, and it's really good. But we got towards the end of the year, and we were talking about running a Christmas campaign, but we didn't have the time and the kind of, from a logistics perspective, to do a new video and photo shoot of assets of imagery for a Christmas campaign. So we had a bit of a problem. We could either recycle what we'd already had throughout the year and kind of reuse some evergreen stuff that didn't look Christmassy, or we could use some stock imagery, which is always a concern, that you might use an image that a competitor might use. So we're a bit sceptical of that. And this was just as we'd been given access to a beta program through Adobe to create a custom AI model trained upon bespoke imagery for a brand. So we started a project with Amazon where we trained up a custom AI model using imagery from their photo shoots throughout the year. And that allowed us to generate images with a kind of a normal natural language interface like you get with ChatGPT, and we could do image production. But it wasn't just like the normal image production that you would get through Midjourney or Adobe Firefly or DALL-E through OpenAI. It was bespoke to Amazon because we trained it up on their imagery, on their particular brand aesthetic, the composition of their advertising shots. And it was a real win. Overnight we were able to produce, essentially a Christmas photo shoot of produce and imagery, and it really worked because it was based on real world photography that we'd done earlier in the year. It was completely bespoke to them. It wasn't replicable by other brands, and it gave us some really, really creative, really, really interesting results. And it was production ready, which is kind of a new thing that we've seen in that space. And it's in my mind, generative imagery has only just become production ready, and even then, it's maybe 50-50, and depends how well you prompt stuff. But the really exciting thing that we'd never really discovered until that point was just how much it can augment your creative thinking. Because traditionally, obviously, if we were going to do a photo shoot, we would get together, we would brainstorm the type of shots we wanted. We would maybe storyboard out a few different shots, and then we'd go into the studio, we'd get the talent, we'd arrange the props, and then we'd take those shots, and then that's what we'd have afterwards. We were locked in on that. But because we had the model to play with, we were finding that we just had this really crazy 2-3 hour brainstorm where people were just throwing around ideas, and you'd type it in and then you'd see it, and we had them up on big screens around the room, and the level of creativity that was in that room just felt boosted because you were seeing ideas in real time and you could throw them in the bin straight away. It was terrible. We had one great idea where someone just said, well, what if we create a Santa hat out of strawberries, which is just, you know, as a throwaway sentence sounds like pure madness, but because someone just typed it into the model, and then it printed out this kind of top view of some strawberries arranged in the shape of Santa's hat, but with the kind of Santa's fur on it, and it was in the Amazon aesthetic and style. It was stunning. We
so
banked that, and it went out into a campaign. But that's an example of how it's kind of changed how we've done things, but to augment it, to make it better. It hasn't necessarily, it's not replaced anything. It's really added to the human creativity that we had in the team because of that tool. It was a super fun project.
Yeah, and I think in that, it's really good that you brought the fact that this was built on original stuff that already existed.
Yes.
This isn't, it's not kind of going out on a limb by itself. It's not creating stuff. It is guided by human creativity and stuff that existed. It was just there as a tool for efficiency rather than, and to boost creativity rather than being completely and utterly AI led.
Yeah,
it was used to augment your work.
100%. If we didn't have the photo shoots that we'd done throughout the year to feed into it, it wouldn't have worked. It would have been, we would have just been using the same generative image models that other people had access to, and then there is a real risk you move towards that kind of AI slop that we've talked about, which is, I'm seeing it more and more. Whether it's because my eyes are tuned to it because I spend too much time looking at that type of imagery, but I'm starting to see it in too many places now. It's starting to creep out into ads that I don't think are production ready.
No, I see things very much with a copy eye. My background's journalism and writing, and I look at copy all the time. And some of the stuff people are putting on LinkedIn saying, "Look what I did in 10 minutes on my lunch break." It's like, it's bad coffee. It's just
full of EM dashes.
All it says is like, drink this particular brand. It's like, no, not copywriting. It hasn't done anything here. So that stresses me. I'm frustrated to see. But it doesn't have to be like that. And it's, it is very much, we're at the stage with AI when I feel like you get out what you put in. And that's where 100%. The human creativity is augmented. How else are you seeing it develop, across what you're doing with Kinesso and across your work?
How long have we got? This is the really exciting thing at the minute is it's almost picking where to invest our time, because we realised maybe last year that there was just too many opportunities of investment of training and exploration than we had time to do it. Yeah. There's too many shiny new tools coming out on a weekly basis for us to actually understand and dig into what we could turn them into to help our clients. So we've developed like a bit of a roadmap approach now, where we've got a forum that meets every month, and we just catalogue all the cool new tools that people have seen, all the shiny keynote speeches and the product launch videos where everything looks brilliant. Yeah. And we put it through a series of kind of goalposts and kind of checkpoints, and someone will be given a bit of time to go away and explore something and kind of find out if it is as good as the new shiny sales video suggested, and we find what its capabilities are, and most critically what its limitations are. So we'll grab something like in this last month we work with an AI company called 11 Labs that produce really good AI generated voiceovers, and they've just started doing AI generated music, which is something interesting and new to us. And again, you read the press, you watch the launch videos, and it looks like it's the greatest thing ever, and it's going to replace all music on the planet. But the reality will be something different to that. Yeah. So we've grabbed that, and we've given someone some time to just invest in that and understand what the limitations are. Where does it actually fall down? Yeah. Because the truth is, again, being the AI realist, most tools and technology at the minute do have limitations. They're not as impressive or as advanced as the launch video suggests, and rightly so. That's how companies market new tools a lot of the time. But what's important for us as an agency is to be able to find what the edges are, what the limitations are, so that we know what it can do, and we can turn that into an actual business case and an actual useful product to clients. And we spend a lot of time talking to our clients about, you know, where AI doesn't work, where it isn't applicable. We've done some great sessions with a lot of the brands that we work with, where we've shown them, like, this is how AI is terrible at producing things that you might want for your brand. Because, you know, a lot of, you know, CMOs out there are being told, you can create all your imagery in AI now. All your ads could be done from scratch using this clever AI tool. And we can come along and say, no, look, actually, you can see the limitations. A lot of AI models will struggle to generate, you know, humans in different environments, or a lot of the really cool and exciting video editing tools at the moment really struggle with consistency. And just being able to show these brands what the limitations are, that, oh, I feel a little bit more reassured now. We were worrying we were missing out. We were worrying that everyone else is racing ahead, but actually, you know, looking at what the edges are is one of the fun parts at the minute. Find out where things go wrong.
Definitely, I think like a good stress test on any of this is it's really worth doing. I had a pitch from a company, and they had a graphic on their site which was literally your problem, AI magic, success. It's like, great, yeah, definitely going to be buying into that. That sounds
hiring wizards now, are we?
Sounds legit to me. Andy, it's been wicked to talk to you. Thank you very much for coming in. Yeah, we'll keep chatting, and like we'll probably have you back in 2 weeks, and we'll have a completely different discussion.
Yeah, it'll change again in a week for sure.
But yeah, lovely, and really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks a lot.
Cheers. Take care.